Chapter 413, Overwhelming Victory. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Xiaoli stood by, arms crossed, holding two silver flying knives. A smile on her beautiful face revealed that something interesting would happen. She was quite confident of Xiking's strength. After refining the golden Ganoderma lucidum, Xiking had progressed in cultivation rapidly, leaving Zhang Yuochen far behind. The battle seemed to be without suspense. She only hoped that Xiking would give her some golden Ganoderma lucidum once he felt better after killing Zhang Yuochen. To her surprise, Zhang Yuochen gently shook his head and said, "I won't fight with you." Xiking had expected that and looked calmed. He knew that Zhang Yuochen did not dare to fight him with his current cultivation. Zhang Yuochen patted the monster ape's skull and said, "Buddy, go kill him." Zhang Yuochen was not going to bother dealing with Xiking himself. "What? Asking a savage beast to fight me?" Xiking looked stiff. He had not expected that Zhang Yuochen could be so arrogant. Roar! The monster ape raised its head, opened its bloody mouth, and roared. A gigantic savage beast breath rushed out of its body like tides, surging in all directions. At first, the animal did not burst out any power. Although its aura was strong, Xiking did not worry about it until this moment, when he was shocked by its force. This was not a 4th level beast at all. It was a 5th level beast. Both Xiaoli and Xiking changed their expressions and stepped back. They could not imagine how Zhang Yuochen could tame such a ferocious beast. "Flee away. It's a 5th level savage beast. We cannot resist." With a ferocious look, Xiking turned his head and stared at Zhang Yuochen. How is it possible? He is not a tamer. How can he tame a 5th level beast as his mount? Originally, he had thought that he could beat Zhang Yuochen. Unexpectedly, he had been chased by the mount before Zhang Yuochen even began to make a move. Although they had profound cultivation, they were not strong enough to compete with the monster ape. The monster ape had caught up with Xiaoli. It hit her head with its giant black fists. Boom! The necklace Xiaoli wore was an amulet treasure. Driven by genuine qi, it emitted silver brilliance and formed a spherical shield, resisting the monster ape's attack. Bang! For a split second the genuine qi shield was broken. The monster ape's fist, as big as a water tank, fell down on Xiaoli, smashing her into a mass of blood and scattered crushed bones. Even a beautiful god's favored daughter was unable to escape death in the face of absolute power. They could not withstand a single blow. Xiking felt a tremble in his heart. He immediately pushed his genuine qi and displayed a body movement to the extreme. Boom! The monster ape slammed against the ground and bounced up like a cannonball into the air. It quickly caught up with Xiking and took a slap at him. Xiking gritted his teeth. He took out a half-saint bone bead, and injected genuine qi into it. Swish! A pattern of inscription emerged on the surface of the bone bead. It burst out a white glaring brilliance that formed a 10-meter half-saint illusory image, with him protected in the center. The monster ape beat against the top of it. Immediately a circle of ripples recoiled the palm power. The monster ape stepped back in shock. As a Saint Gentry descendant, Xiking obviously had a much more powerful amulet treasures than Xiaoli. A general cultivator in the fish-dragon realm could not break through his defense. The half-saint bone bead contained a whole half-saint skeleton that had been refined for nearly a year. It had eventually condensed into a pigeon egg-sized bead. Half-saint bones were inherently hard and contained saint power. The solidity of a half-saint bead was comparable to that of a holy weapon. Moreover, an array master had carved defensive inscriptions onto it. Its defensive power was astonishing. Of course, every time he used the half-saint bone bead, it consumed a lot of genuine qi. Even if Xiking had profound cultivation, he could only activate it 10 times at most before exhausting his genuine qi. Roar! The monster ape pounded its chest and attacked Xiking again. Its huge fists hit Xiking again and again, unleashing its power almost to the extreme. Even with the defense of the half-saint bone bead, Xiking had to step back. He was like a leaf under the force of stormy waves. He could be torn up at any time. This animal's strength is horrible. Even with the half-saint bone bead, I may not be able to resist against it much longer. Moreover, it's surprisingly quick. Even if I tried to escape, I couldn't get away. What should I do? Xiking had never expected that he would even fall into such a desperate situation in the Five Elements primitive world. If he had known, he would have acted together with Ni Wenlong. Ni Wenlong was the master Demi Saint Sandao had been looking for. He was ranked 6547th on the heaven board and was even stronger than Xia King. He had once killed a cultivator at the first change of the fish dragon realm. Warriors on the heaven board were superiors at the peak of the heaven realm. Generally, they were not comparable with cultivators in the fish dragon realm. However, almost all the top 10,000 warriors on the heaven board had the strength to compete with cultivators at the first change in the fish dragon realm. A few could even kill weaker cultivators. The heaven board encompassed the entire Kunlun's field. Warriors of the heaven realm in Kunlun's field could be listed on the heaven board as long as they accumulated 10,000 merits. There were more than 1 million warriors on the heaven board. Heaven realm warriors in the top 10,000 had to have accumulated at least 100,000 military merits. Demi Saint Sandao had sent Ni Wenlong into the Five Elements primitive world in advance to assist Xia King in killing Zhang Yuochen. It was no use lamenting. Ni Wenlong was in the Evil Wood Palace now. He would not be able to come save him in time. Bang, bang. As time passed, under the attack of the monster ape, Xia King's genuine chi was consumed in large quantities. The defense of the half-saint bone bead was weakening. Xia King shouted anxiously, "Zhang Yuochen, if you are a man, fight me yourself. It's shameful for you to send a beast to fight with me." Zhang Yuochen said seriously, "If you can't even defeat my savage beast, how can you fight with me?" Xia King was so angry that he vomited blood. The half-saint illusory image began to crack. Xia King said, "Stop the monster ape. I have something important to tell you about your fiancé, Huang Yanjun." Zhang Yuochen's face changed. He waved his hand slightly, signalizing the monster ape to stop. The monster ape exposed a pair of huge red eyes and roared at Xia King, almost blowing him backwards. The blood scent in its mouth made Xia King feel extremely ill. He almost vomited again. It stopped attacking and stepped back 2 steps to stand behind Zhang Yuochen. Zhang Yuochen said, "Tell me." Xia King drew a long breath and stared blankly at the monster ape. "I won't tell you until you let me go." Shwa. Zhang Yuochen's footsteps were a stream of light. He charged at Xia King, grabbed his neck, and lifted him up. Zhang Yuochen's 2 fingers held Xia King's trachea like iron pliers. With just a bit more strength, he could burst his trachea. "Spit it out," Zhang Yuochen said in a low voice. He released a strong spiritual force to hit Xia King's martial soul with an overwhelming spiritual determination. Xia King began to tremble all over. Xia King had thought there was a huge gap between himself and Zhang Yuochen. Even if he practiced to the completion of the heaven realm, he would probably never compare to him. Zhang Yuochen's strong spiritual power defeated Xia King's firm heart of martial arts. It daunted and terrified Xia King. Xia King said shakily, okay, I'll tell you." Yesterday, the Evil Wood Palace Intelligence Organization discovered Huang Yanjun's trace and dispatched masters to catch her. Today, I came here to meet them. "I did not expect to meet you." Zhang Yuochen frowned. "The Evil Wood Palace? How can you cooperate with them?" Xia King said, "I did not contact the Evil Wood Palace, but rather Ni Wenlong, who made contact with the Evil Wood Palace on behalf of both of us. He promised the Evil Wood Palace that if Saint Xia Gentry takes over the Five Elements primitive world in the future, he will allow the Evil Wood Palace to manage the Five Elements primitive world. From then on, the other 4 holy lands in the Five Elements primitive world would be wiped out. In general, if an inferior primitive world was conquered, it would be handed over to a Saint Gentry. Only the medium-level primitive worlds and the superior-class primitive worlds had to be managed directly by the imperial court. If Saint Xia Gentry fought hard for it, it would indeed have the opportunity to take control of the Five Elements primitive world. "Who is Ni Wenlong?" Zhang Ruochen asked. Xia King hesitated for a moment before replying. "Ni Wenlong is a saint from the Saint Academy. He is 1 year ahead of us. He is also a warrior on the heaven board. He snuck into the Five Elements primitive world to take your life under order from the ancestor." Zhang Yuochen, "I've told you everything. Can you let me go now?" Zhang Yuochen thought for a moment. He raised his head and stared at Xia King. "I never said I would let you go." Snap. He clenched his fingers and broke Xia King's trachea. Then he snapped his neck. With a bang, Xia King fell to the ground. He was dead. Zhang Yuochen would never be lenient to people like Xia King, who had tried all means to kill him. Since Xia King has been waiting here, the master of the Evil Wood Palace, who was sent to catch Huang Yanjun, will surely pass through. I'd better wait for them here. Zhang Yuochen glanced at Xia King's corpse. He knelt down and picked up the half-saint bone bead.